But along with that professional success came profound private challenges. Michael Douglas also understood firsthand.
With this terrible tragedy, we're realizing how much pressure he was dealing with in his personal life with his son. I also had a son who had drug issues.
Do you remember how the discovery of the crime scene unfolded? It wasn't just that Romy went across the road. It was a massage therapist arriving on the scene for a scheduled appointment, I think somewhere around 3 p.m., and then getting no answer. That was when Romy was likely alerted, and she went across the road and into her parents' mansion to find out what was happening. And of course, that moment's one of those moments where your entire life changes. It's interesting how at this early stage of the narrative, things already get a little iffy. Some news reports suggested that the moment Romy discovered her parents, she fingered her older brother Nick, the middle child, as the suspect. But according to the New York Times, when the paramedics arrived, the person said Romy Reiner told them that her brother lived on the property, but also she did not suggest to the authorities that her brother might be a suspect, as some news outlets have reported. It's actually astonishing how many news outlets came out afterwards specifying that Romy didn't say, investigate Nick. Look at this: The Independent, Entertainment Weekly, The New York Times, US Weekly. Romy did not suggest her brother Nick as a suspect to police, a new report claims. But I mean, who could blame her if she did say it? And if she didn't say it, why didn't she?
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Well, one possible reason is that I think it probably would be incomprehensible after seeing what she saw to imagine her brother capable of such a thing, probably to imagine anyone capable of such a thing. Trashing a guest house is one thing, reducing human beings to bloody rags is another. If there is some uncertainty around what Romy said, what we know for sure, although Romy discovered the crime scene, she didn't call 911. And there are a couple of cases where people that were involved didn't call 911, like Chris Watts. Instead, Nicole Atkinson called 911. In fact, Chris Watts begged them not to call 911. Another example is Laurie Vallow. And another example are the roommates in the Idaho 4 case. And what that shows is it doesn't necessarily mean if you don't call 911 that you're guilty. It can mean that you are very, very traumatized. And in this case, you can understand that Romy was. According to the Daily Mail, reports have surfaced of an unnamed roommate who called emergency services for Romy after she discovered her parents' bodies last weekend. Even that is a little bit misleading because she only really saw her father. But who is that unnamed roommate? Who is he? Well, it turned out to be this guy, Alex Silberg. But who is he? Well, according to the Daily Mail, Romy will star in an upcoming short film titled The Auschwitz Bagel, made by this guy, filmmaker Alex Silberberg, and he has recently emerged as an important figure in her life. And while Romy has never publicly confirmed any relationship status, social media posts, according to the article, have appeared to capture a close relationship with Silberberg over the years, the pair enjoying getaways to Montana, and also along with photos of their dog Billy. And in a legal sense, Silberberg will play quite an important role in this case. For starters, he is Romy's alibi. He will probably also be a reinforcing witness to the things that she saw and observed. Consider the situation. Rob and Michelle are dead in the bedroom. They've been dead for several hours, and their bedroom is an awful crime scene. And Romy has been across the road all along, and Nick isn't. If you didn't have additional context, Romy might emerge as a natural suspect when she shouldn't, or for that matter, the massage therapist when she shouldn't. Well, of course, I'm assuming it's a she. But Silberberg also reveals something else about Romy and about Nick that we have missed, and that brings us to the number 6 clue we all missed. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you're finding this analysis interesting, meaningful, please do hit the thanks button. Stay tuned till the end of this episode. We'll be letting you guys know of a special live stream that's coming up very soon. So look out for that. And let's get started. So first of all, Alex is an important figure in Romy's life, possibly more than just a friend, although she hasn't gone Instagram official with him just yet. But he also reveals that Romy has been working, has been functional, has got things going on. This is the big difference between Romy and Nick. Romy, younger than Nick, has a sense of identity, and he doesn't. Romy has a work ethic, he doesn't. Romy seems to have friends, he doesn't. We don't know this for sure, but I don't think Romy attended the party that her parents and Nick attended. Because why not? If she didn't, well, probably because she had her own social circle going on. Maybe she just hung out with Alex. Nick tagging along to a party with his parents also suggests that Nick seems to have no friends or very few friends. And when have we ever seen Nick with a girlfriend or any significant best friend type person in his life? His most consistent relationship seems to be with drugs, his greatest investment of time and energy into his addiction.
What did you think was going to happen?
Now, if Romy has needed a friend, and if that friend is Silberberg, she will be leaning on him now more than ever. According to Radar, sources describe Romy's emotional state as astonishingly fragile and beyond raw. I don't think that's so astonishing. One said that her sanity is truly hanging by a thread. A scene like that would test even the most hardened cop or paramedic. Well, just so. Once again, it's through Romy that we get to know Nick's fragile state of mind as well. I copped quite a lot of flack for describing Romy as being addicted at one point, when that was what Romy herself said in a 2022 podcast. Clearly, the issue is the quantity of substance abuse compared to her brother. One has this sense that Nick's addiction levels were off the charts. But Romy also has had mental health issues, and that's the number 6 clue we all missed. This is from the Daily Mail. Her depression had been so severe that when she was at high school, some days she couldn't even get out of bed. And then there were the night terrors and panic attacks over a period of many years that left her feeling as if she were fighting for my life every night. I could have a dream where I would have to fight off 12 huge men with guns to save my life and run, she explains. I have to literally murder people to survive in my dreams. And I think if you're having dreams like that, maybe you should stay away from things like marijuana. Anyway, and Romy also said that her father Rob struggled with his mental health his whole life as well. Not just an episode here and there, his whole life. She said, my dad had pretty much clinical depression his entire life since he was a kid. That's how I've felt and have been diagnosed, whatever, with that. I don't know if it's a genetic thing, if it can be passed down. Growing up, he would go into these kind of states where he would just be really quiet and do his thing. There were so many times where I would say, what's wrong? Why aren't you engaging? Why aren't you talking? And what this shows is you can be incredibly successful despite mental health issues. Rob was, Romy was, so was Vincent van Gogh. The issue with Nick isn't his mental health, it's how he deals with it, the choices he makes around it. You know, and some of those choices can be aggravated, can aggravate what's already there. Bad decisions can aggravate the mental health that's there. Taking drugs when you're already sensitive means you make a potentially tricky situation 1,000,000 times worse. And have a look at what word stands out highlighted below. A pampered upbringing. Pampering a family means for some entitled children, that pampering amounts to wanting to feel good when they feel bad or feeling good without making any effort. And for Nick, that pampering, I think, enabled his drug use for over a decade. That was the habit that he turned to, and the pampering really enabled him to do that.
Rob Reiner had an incredible point of view, a point of view that was inspired by real humanity, kindness, intellect, and all of those elements combined allowed him to become kind of a real American storyteller.
Well, I'm not going to take it further than that. Look out for a special live coming out soon where I'll be dealing with all the big stories we missed on this channel. So look out for that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.